Welcome, listeners. Welcome back to our first special bonus episode of the Good American novel since we finished our main story. I'm Hilde Festerling. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm just here to share a story with you. Since the Good American novel wrapped, I've been writing and having adventures in sound and music. This is the first little standalone story that I've written in a while. It's called The Picture of Dorian Cat. For anyone who thinks that title sounds familiar but doesn't know why, I will tell you there is a old novel, over 100 years old, called The Picture of Dorian Gray. And it's about a young man who's so handsome. He has a portrait painted by some other people who think he's so handsome. But then once the picture is finished, everyone starts to get concerned because they realize that the picture is too beautiful and the picture won't age. But the real Dorian will age and lose his youthful beauty. I don't believe in that. But anyway, they're really worried about that. And then some bad magic starts to happen in the novel where the real Dorian doesn't age, but the portrait ages and the real Dorian starts to, do evil things, and the portrait becomes a hideous representation of his evil. Anyway, you've had enough preamble. This is The Picture of Dorian Cat. It's a story about a cat. And listeners of the Good American novel will find you can hear me trying to chart a new course and try to find a voice for a cat that isn't just like Grazzo, who I think we all miss so much, and not really succeeding at that. Raise your hand if Grazzo was your favorite character. My hand is raised. So, without further ado, please enjoy The Picture of Dorian Cat. Dorian Cat was a handsome boy. He knew it for certain because the lady always told him so.
What a handsome boy,
the lady always said. But Dorian Cat would have known it anyway. He liked to jump up on the little table and stand in front of the brass-framed mirror in the hallway while the lady was out at the library or the pet store. What a handsome boy Dorian is, he would say, looking at his own profile from all angles. The world doesn't know what a handsome boy Dorian is, but Dorian will show them all. When the wind blew the lady back in the door, she would tell him all about what had happened while she was out in the world.
Dorian, our friend Dolly Cookies at the cheese stall gave us 15% off this cheese. Would you like to sit down and have a little cheese?
Dorian would like some cheese, he answered. But of course to the lady it only came out as a simple
meow.
And that was fine. They understood each other perfectly.
What a handsome boy.
Now, Dorian liked not only his beautiful self, he also loved beautiful things. One morning, the lady spilled her teacup on their beautiful blanket with the mauve hydrangea pattern.
Oh, drat. Dorian, we will have to wash this blanket.
Dorian merely groomed himself in front of the brass-framed mirror that day and repeated, Dorian and the lady will wash the blanket with the mauve hydrangeas. But that night, when Dorian leapt his neat little paws up onto the blanket, everything was wrong.
Meow!
There were no mauve hydrangeas.
Meow!
Where the mauve hydrangeas should be, there was instead
meow!
An assault on Dorian's beauty-loving eyes.
There, Dorian. Our regular blanket is still in the dryer. We just have to use this backup blanket for one night.
The new blanket screamed up at him with its pink and green squiggles and squares, none of it meaning anything or representing anything.
Meow! Meow!
He wailed to the lady.
Well, Dorian, this sort of geometric pattern was very popular when I was a young person.
The lady explained.
We will have the mauve hydrangeas back tomorrow. Meow,
he responded. And the lady understood. She lay a plain white sheet on top of the blanket, and Dorian sulked there all night.
Meow.
The next day, the lady said,
Now, Dorian, since we've had such a difficult time with the blanket, why don't we take the day off and watch our favorite programs?
Thank you.
Meow.
Dorian accepts your gracious invitation. The lady's favorite program was about a lady detective. Dorian's favorite program was about a fluffy calico who jumped off a clean white couch to run in a perfect diagonal line across a well-organized kitchen floor, and finally, at the exciting part, the fluffy calico cat would eat a delicious-looking, perfectly square portion of cat food off a spotless dish. The dish was in the shape of a fish, and its hue matched the color of the walls in the kitchen perfectly. Conveniently, Dorian's program ran in between the lady's program. When the lady went out to see their friend Dolly Cookies at the market that day, Dorian washed himself in front of the brass-framed mirror and told himself the whole story. Dorian watches the fluffy calico run through the elegant kitchen. The calico's food is in a perfect square. Every detail has been thought of. Sometimes the lady brings Dorian the square food. Dorian could be the cat in the program. The next day, when the lady got out her library basket to go see their librarian friend, Molly Pencils, she said,
Oh, Dorian, since you enjoy watching your program so much, I prepared a special treat for you for while I'm out.
Oh, thank you. Dorian appreciates your many kindnesses.
Meow.
The lady turned on the television and clicked the buttons. And the screen became filled with a bewildering scene. There was a pile of seeds on a log. Why were the seeds there? No explanation. Worse, birds were there, gorging themselves on the meaningless pile of seeds. And then the chipmunks came. The chipmunks came and chattered their inelegant mouths at the birds. And then the chipmunks went at the food.
Meow.
What have you done to the television?
Meow. It's kitty TV made just for cats. What do you think? Meow.
What does Dorian think?
Meow.
Dorian can scarcely speak. He is so affronted.
Meow.
Do you think this is what Dorian wants?
Meow.
Do you think this is what Dorian likes?
Meow.
To look at woodland creatures attack a purposeless pile of seeds?
Meow.
The seeds aren't even arranged nicely. Who selected the chipmunks? Where is the beauty?
Meow.
Dorian does not know what any of this means.
Meow. It seems like you don't like it. Meow. I'm surprised. Well, okay, if that's what you prefer,
she said, and turned off the television.
I just don't know what my handsome boy needs,
she said before taking up her basket.
Maybe I'll find something at the market to make you feel better.
After she left, Dorian had to do a lot of grooming at the mirror to settle himself. How can she speak of handsome boys after what she has done to Dorian? When the lady came back, her cheeks were glowing, and she held a large parcel.
Dorian, you won't believe what I found.
Dorian watched the lady untie the string and remove the paper wrappings from the parcel.
Now,
she said, lifting the something up.
Now just look at this.
Dorian looked. The something was a picture in a frame. But it was not a picture of a sailboat or horses on the moor. No. It was a portrait of Dorian Cat. It was not a painting of some stripy cat. It was a portrait of Dorian. There, his broad white chest, which the lady always said looked like he had neatly tied on a buffet napkin. There, his long white whiskers, his black and rust stripes, his noble green eyes. Most similar was not the color of the eyes, but the intelligent workings behind them, the way the eyes penetrated the soul of the beholder, the way the cat in the picture held his face, just as though a clever little retort were about to tumble from his lips. Dorian could not believe it.
Can you believe it? What a handsome boy.
Dorian's insides turned as cold as last night's cat food, because the lady was not looking at Dorian when she said this. She was looking at the portrait. Dorian
Meow
did not know what to do. He could not think. He leaped into the lady's arms. He dashed the portrait from her hands, and it clattered to the floor.
Meow. Oh dear, Dorian, be careful. It's lucky you didn't break the frame. Now what's gotten into you? You don't normally like being held.
She looked down at him, her eyes full of concern, and he let her carry him like a baby.
Is my handsome boy sick? Meow.
Yes.
Meow.
Dorian is sick of that portrait. Do you understand? Sick. It isn't right for there to be a portrait like that. The lady fed Dorian some extra soupy cat food for his digestion, and then she sang him a little song as he fell asleep.
Stand by your cat. Give him 2 arms to cling to. And something
which was good, because when he closed his eyes, he could feel the portrait staring at him. Only the lady's soft voice could put him to sleep.
Stand by your cat and tell the world you love him.
Dorian woke in the night while the lady was still sleeping. Right away, he knew he must go to see the portrait. It was not where he had left it, thrown to the kitchen floor. Good, the lady has taken it away, he thought, and he was ready to forgive and put the whole thing behind him when he saw it. The portrait was up on the wall in the hallway, right next to his brass-framed mirror.
Meow.
Dorian flew at the portrait. He would scratch out the eyes of that cat. He jumped, climbed onto the wall, lashed at it with his most ferocious claw. You will not take Dorian from himself!
Meow.
But his claws merely squeaked against hard glass. He flew at it again, with the same result. The portrait was protected. He could not hurt it, could not touch it. Finally, Dorian gave up trying to break through the glass. He fell to the ground and stood, looking up at the portrait. It seemed now to stare so coldly at him. No, surely Dorian has never looked so cruel as that. Dorian backed away, trying to break the gaze of the portrait, but the green eyes would not let him go. Finally, Dorian meowed to it. "Who do you think Dorian is, portrait? You think you know Dorian? You don't. Dorian will do the unthinkable." Then Dorian went into the lady's closet, and he pooped in her best slippers. The red flannel ones with the real lamb's wool inside. He spent the rest of the night under the guest bed, and he slept terribly. In the morning, Dorian woke to the lady calling.
"Dorian, breakfast."
He slunk out, tail between his legs. He passed the brass-framed mirror in the hall, and he could not look at himself. He kept his head low as he passed under his nemesis. When Dorian arrived in the kitchen, he could not believe his eyes. The lady was wearing the red flannel slippers.
"Meow."
"Dorian ruined the slippers," he confessed in a wail.
"Meow, meow." "Oh, don't worry, Dorian. I put your favorite wet food out."
He could not look at the food.
"Meow."
But the lady did not notice. She was busy prettying up the kitchen, putting out the best tea set, placing sunflowers from the garden in the green glass vase. Dorian was torn, terribly confused and terribly torn. He loved their best tea set. It had a simple pattern of 3 pink flowers. He loved it when she made their table so beautiful, but how could she be wearing those slippers? Dorian has ruined the slippers, and yet there they are. Your paws are inside the ruined slippers.
"Meow."
The lady did not notice any of this.
"Guess what, Dorian? Some of our friends are coming over for a tea party."
Dorian looked up. Not Molly Pencils?
"Meow."
The lady smiled.
"Yes, Molly Pencils from the library, and also..."
Not Dolly Cookies?
"Meow." "Yes, Dolly Cookies from the market."
No!
"Meow."
No!
"Meow." "I've invited them over to admire your portrait, Dorian."
And then the lady gestured to the portrait where it hung in the hall. She had placed a red velvet curtain over the portrait.
"I'm going to unveil the portrait at the tea party."
Dorian crawled inside a cardboard box that had been left under the table.
"Oh, well, Dorian, I was just going to move that box out to the recycling." "Meow."
His paw lashed out of the cardboard box.
"Well, all right. If you like it so much, you can keep it. Now I'm going to go out to pick up a few things for our tea party."
And in a moment, she was changing into her outside shoes and heading out the door. Once she was gone, Dorian knew what he must do. He slunk across the floor to where the slippers lay. It was with a strange, frightened feeling that he peered into the slippers. The slippers were perfectly clean. Dorian backed away from the eerie sight of the clean slippers until he found himself in the hallway, right next to the brass-framed mirror, which was right next to the portrait under the curtain. Dorian whirled around and in one motion ripped the red curtain off with his claw.
"Meow."
He looked, but he already knew what he would see there. The Dorian portrait was smiling at him more cruelly than ever. And behind the cat, painted in the background of the picture, was
"Meow."
the slipper with the poop inside it.
"Meow."
Dorian did not have words.
"Meow."
He trembled. He bathed his tail. Think, Dorian, think. We must know the truth. He bathed his tail again, and on the 5th lash of his tongue against his tail, he ran into the kitchen. There was the pretty table all set for the tea party with the best dishes. There was the green vase with the sunflowers. Dorian ran to the table. He raised his paw, and with one awful swipe, he could scarcely wash himself do it, he hurled the green vase to the ground. The vase shattered, and the wet sunflowers scattered amidst the shards of green glass.
Meow!
And then he bounded back to the hall. "No," Dorian said. "It can't be." But it was, and he knew it would be. Dorian of the portrait smiled a terrible smile, and behind him in the background of the portrait were the ruins of the green glass vase and the wet sunflowers on the lady's hardwoods, posed next to the poop slippers. How could Dorian have done it? He asked himself as he ran back to look at the destruction in the kitchen. But by some awful magic, the damage had been taken away. The sunflowers sat serene on the table, the elegant green glass vase reflecting the morning light. Dorian is going mad. The portrait is taking these bad things. It was then that Dorian heard the voices coming up the front walk. He stood frozen under the table.
Well, Molly Pencils, I just can't wait for you to see Dorian's portrait. It looks just like him.
Dorian is such a handsome boy. I can't wait to see it.
And Dolly, it was so sweet of you to make these cupcakes in the shape of cats.
Anything for our Dorian. Dorian heard the lady, Molly, and Dolly coming in, taking off their shoes in the foyer. What next? Will the portrait force Dorian to poop in all their shoes? No!
Meow, 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 meow. Dorian has had a lot to say lately. Meow, meow.
When Dorian ran out to the entrance and leaped into the air,
Meow,
knocking a tray of cat-shaped cupcakes
meow.
right out of Dolly Cookie's hands.
Dorian, meow,
Said Dorian.
meow,
Then he ran into the hallway and called back to her.
meow.
He stared, and she stared at him, and the mess of the cupcakes, and at their friends, standing open-mouthed in the entrance.
I think Dorian is trying to show me something.
The lady finally said,
Meow.
and she followed him down the hall, towards it. She must see, Dorian thought, no matter what follows. She must see. And he stood underneath the portrait, underneath the shame of the slippers, the broken vase, the flying cupcakes. The woman looked at it. Her face betrayed nothing. Can she see these things? The things the portrait made Dorian do? She took the portrait in her hands, took it off its stand.
You know, I was mistaken.
She finally said.
This cat looks nothing like you, Dorian. Nothing at all. I don't know how I could have thought it looked like you.
Dorian was so happy to agree.
Meow. You're much more handsome than this cat, Dorian. Meow. Oh, certainly.
And she turned the portrait around.
Later today, I will return the portrait to the woman at the market.
Dorian sighed.
Meow.
And Dorian and the lady went back out into the entrance, where Molly and Dolly had managed to salvage most of the cupcakes. And while the lady apologized, but she just couldn't show them the portrait, she had been all wrong about it, Dorian ate the cupcake that was a bit smooshed.
Oh, Dorian, do you mind having the smushed one?
Dorian didn't mind at all.
Meow.
Sometimes it's hard being a woman, giving all your love to just one cat. You'll have bad times, and he'll have good times, doing things you don't understand. But if you love him, you'll forgive him. Even though he's hard to understand. him. 'Cause after all, he's just a cat. Stand by your cat. Give him 2 arms to cling to, and something warm to come to when nights are cold and lonely. Stand by your cat and show the world you love him. Keep giving all the love you can. Stand by your cat. Stand by your cat and tell the world you love him. Keep giving all the love you can. Stand by your cat.
Meow.
Well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed listening to that as much as I enjoyed making it. The Picture of Dorian Cat was written and produced by me, Hilde Festerling. Mandy Laughtland starred as the lady and the meows, and I performed the narration as well as Dorian's internal monologue. This story would not have been possible without the influence of a few other artists. Firstly, I need to shout out whoever painted the portrait of Mandy's cat Dusty that inspired this portrait. And if you haven't seen it, you can find it on the Good American Novel Instagram. In addition to the portrait painter, this story owes a great debt of inspiration to Oscar Wilde's, his novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Also, we leaned heavily, I'm sure you will notice, on the Mighty Wurlitzer. That beautiful organ music you heard, performed by a man named Leonard Leigh, a master of the Wurlitzer organ who used to play one man, one organ that he used to perform alongside radio plays and silent films. Isn't that incredible? So thanks to Leonard Leigh. And finally, we would like to thank Tammy Wynette and hope that, wherever her spirit roams, she's happy with the changes that we made to her song. The sum total of which we're switching out the words cat for man. This special bonus episode is the beginning of a new venture in podcasting. We're going to be working on something called Special Collections, and the first episode of which probably will be Dorian Cat, the story you've just heard, but with some extra special collections. So you'll see that or hear it when it comes out. I'll be sure to let you know. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me. H-Fest!